You often hear the words delegate. Delegate your work. You can't do everything. Please delegate. And I agree that one needs to delegate. I need to delegate to people who are reporting to me, and likewise my boss needs to delegate to me. But in that process of delegation, the person who's delegating it to someone else needs to have the trust that the person that they're delegating it to can do the job. Because there's nothing worse, and there's never enough time to do the job properly, but yet there's always enough time to do the job again. And I find if something is delegated to me, or if I delegate something to somebody, I can't do the job, or that person can't do the job, we end up wasting a lot more time, and efficiencies go out the window, and things can happen, and I'm going to share a situation that happened in my life, that if I had trust in the person that I should have delegated the task to, or trusted, I would have had, the situation would have had a disastrous consequence. Not disastrous, but I would say disastrous. My younger daughter, Claire, was born by Caesar section. And at the time, our gynae, Dr. Peter Perrott, was looking after two pregnant ladies who were both booked in to have a Caesar section on the 22nd of March 1991. And we got our dates about 2 months prior. We got our dates in about January on when the Caesar section was going to be. And obviously Dr. Peter Perrott had booked the labor room, and he was doing both mothers at the same time. And I remember we were due to go in at 2 o'clock on the 21st of March 1991, and the other lady, who we didn't know, was going in at 11 o'clock. And I can't remember exactly when, but it was a short time prior to the 21st, maybe a week, maybe less than a week, maybe 2 or 3 days. I can't remember the exact time. We were advised that could we swap with the other lady? In other words, instead of us or Claire being born at 2 o'clock on that day, could we go in for the 11 o'clock slot? And for us, it wasn't an issue. We did that. So we went in at 11, and the other lady, who was originally planned to go in at 11, only went in at 2 after us. So I was present for the birth, and being Caesar, it's a little bit more organized and predictable than a natural birth. So Claire was born, and they put Claire on my ex-wife's stomach, and they did a little bit of bonding. But shortly thereafter, the nurse took Claire and went back to the nursery to have her properly cleaned up. And me being a little bit FOMO, a little bit of maybe wanting to make sure that everything's right, a bit of curiosity, I followed the lady. I was 10 steps behind her. And she went into the nursery, and she saw me standing waiting for her. And she cleaned Claire up. It must have taken about 15-20 minutes, or maybe a little bit longer. I can't actually remember. But she eventually came and brought Claire to me, so I could hold her for the first time. And as she brought her to me, I saw the name tag on her wrist was not my surname. It wasn't Gate. It was Bouffe, And I said to her, sorry, but she's not a buffet, she's a gate. And she said, how did, that's what's on there. I said, yes, we were originally going to be, I had to give her a full explanation of what happened. I had to show her my ID, but I assured her that my surname wasn't buffet, my surname was gate. And she said she would change the wristband. I said, no, I want to see you cut this one off, and I want to see the correct one on before I leave you. So she took Claire back, she cut off the name pad, and she put the right name band on. Now, and I have to consider how, if I had not been the type of person that I am and followed the nurse back to the nursery to hold Claire for the first time after she'd been cleaned. If I hadn't been one of those guys, the consequence of that would have been we would have ended up having the wrong child. And no one would have known. No one would have known. And dare I say, there is a lot of guys who would be present for the birth, but not follow the nurse back into the nursery. Dare I say, there may have been a lot of guys that wouldn't have even been present for the birth. So what happens in those situations? Now, maybe a little of me didn't trust the nurse. Maybe in the subconscious, I wanted to make sure that my daughter was going to be my daughter, because the strange thing is that night when my sister came to visit my wife and the daughter, all the babies were in like little, they were almost in like shelves, and I battled to find Claire without the name tag. So another baby with the correct name tag, or the incorrect name tag, but my name tag on it, would have been, I would have just easily mistaken it for being the correct baby. So I didn't trust that nurse. I thankfully didn't trust the system, that when the two mothers swapped times, I didn't trust that everything was being sorted. Clearly what happened was that communication of change in times for the two mothers was either not communicated correctly to the nursing staff in the natal wards, or was communicated but was not explained properly. Effective communication comes back into it. Anyway, that for me was a golden example of don't trust somebody that hasn't earned your trust. Because I mean, I didn't know that nurse from a bar of soap. She was a complete stranger to me. I wanted to make sure that everything was working out correctly. And strangely enough, 9-10 years after that, we were at a swimming gala in Durban, and the star of my younger daughter's age group was a Tanya Buffet. And Bouffe is actually not a very, very common name. And I remember overhearing her mother saying to her friend that it's Tanya's birthday tomorrow, and it so happened to be Claire's birthday the following day as well. So I went up to her and I said, look, you don't have to say any more. I know who your gynecologist was. I know what hospital Tanya was born at. I know Tanya was a Caesar, and she hadn't mentioned that. And I know that she was born at 2 o'clock. You were supposed to have gone at 11 o'clock. And it was 100% correct. They never knew of the confusion that occurred in the morning, because I mean, they only went there at 2 o'clock. So you must never always just delegate and trust people if they haven't earned their trust or earned your trust. You need to make sure you delegate to people that have credibility with you. Yeah, that's my rant for the day. Has any of you out there had similar experiences? Similar experiences, the one that we had with Claire? Please let us know. Like, share, and subscribe.
With many South Africans wondering why we haven't been hit with the blackouts. Earlier this month, while the country was gripped by stage 4 power cuts, Eskom warned South Africa.
Another time I can remember trusting someone I shouldn't have trusted was one of my eldest daughter's birthday parties. I think she was about 11 or 12, and we had a party at our place, and one of her school friends lived about 3 houses down the road from us, and they walked him home, and when they got home, his parents offered to take them all down to the beach, and my daughter's friend was also there, so I was responsible for her too, and I gave them permission to go to the beach with this family. Unbeknown to me, they went in the bakkie. They were in the back of a bakkie. Very, very irresponsible. Anyway, they went to the beachfront, and by 9 o'clock that night they hadn't come home yet. And the father of my daughter's friend, well, the parents started panicking like we did, and I felt the pressure that night because I really didn't know where they had been, where they were going. I just knew they were going to the beach, and I gave them permission to go, and I felt extremely responsible for both of them. And fortunately, at about 10:30, the decision was made that we would stay at home, and the other parents would drive down to the beachfront to look for them, and they found them. I got home at about 11 o'clock. I was extremely upset and very apologetic because it was a stupid decision that I made. Yes, and these are the kinds of things that don't entrust to others, people that haven't earned your credibility. So yes, if you have had similar experiences, please comment, share, like, and subscribe.